I've watched college basketball this year, but I don't know anything about college basketball. I know Gonzaga and Baylor, Michigan, but then I thought I knew Michigan, and I watched Illinois without their best player dominate them. So if you were going to give the Cliff Notes version to somebody right now, a couple of weeks before Selection Sunday, what would you say?
I would say that Gonzaga and Baylor and Michigan are the three best teams, but they're the three best teams because they're not only really good and can win the whole thing, but they're the highest level consistent. Absent that performance last night by Michigan, where they just weren't prepared for a fight. And Big Ten team, the Big Ten is the best conference. They've got the most depth of teams that can make a Final Four. But teams like Florida State can certainly do some damage. Houston's pretty good and can do some damage in the tournament. The one thing, Dan, that I would caution sounds like the wrong word, but that I would remind people is because of the pandemic, we didn't have non-conference games where the little guy could show how good they are. And so we're going to have some seeds in this thing where the little guy is way better than we think. And because we don't have the data of those games against the big shots. And so it seems like they're not as good, but I'm not convinced that's true. I think we're going to have some volatility in this tournament that's going to come from us just not having seen the data of early season games where the little guy got to take a swing at the big guy. And that's maybe that's going to be delicious and wonderful, or maybe it's going to really piss us off. I don't know what's going to happen.
But I'm also wondering, people rail against Duke or Kentucky or Indiana, well, Duke and Kentucky, but if they're not in the tournament or Michigan State's not in there, like, is it a better tournament if other teams get an opportunity to be on center stage as opposed to the normal blue bloods?
I would say, I mean, there's a yes and no to that question. I mean, I think more people, it's almost like if you have a World Series where you have two small market teams playing the World Series and the ratings are really low. It's great to see those teams compete, but at the same time, not as many people are interested. So without Duke, Kentucky, if Michigan State doesn't keep winning, maybe Michigan State doesn't make it. Kansas is firmly in the field, but Kansas isn't as good as they've been in the past. They didn't win the Big 12. Baylor won it. So I think the tournament will be diminished in a way. But it's kind of like I liken it to when Tiger Woods shot 81 in the British Open in that horrible weather that one year. It was compelling. It was compelling to watch that, and I think it would be compelling even to watch these teams struggle if they're not as good. But I don't think we're gonna. I mean, we're clearly not going to have Kentucky. There's no way they're gonna win their tournament to pull this out. And we're probably it's 50-50 whether we have Duke. I think Michigan State will probably make it. I know Kansas will make it, but it's been a really odd year.